Hasni Mohamad, Menteri Besar Johor. This is Money Matters. Don't go away.
Hello there, you're tuned in with me, Azaria Tagaya, and for Money Matters this week, we are coming to you all the way from Johor Bahru. On this week's Money Matters, the spotlight is on Malaysia's most southern state, Johor. With its vast economic potential and also its strategic location, many Johorians are wondering what's in store for them within the next 5 years. And this is especially true for the business community, which has been hard hit by the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. And who better to share with us about this than the Menteri Besar of Johor himself, Dato' Hasni Mohamad. Dato' Hasni, thank you so much for making time for us on Money Matters.
Thank you, Azalia. Thank you for having me today, and I look forward to this program. I'm sure Money Matters has a lot of interesting personalities, and I hope that I should seize this opportunity to do my level best in explaining Johor, and especially when we are having our state election right now.
Indeed. And Dato', I think we should say thank you for having us here in Johor Bahru to speak with you today.
You're most welcome, and I hope you have an enjoyable moment here in Johor.
Indeed, it is our pleasure. Well, Dato', the state government has had many plans, including that which would benefit the grassroots and also the vulnerable community that has been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. And as I said before, this is especially true for the business community, which has been reeling from the effects of COVID-19, so to speak. So I guess the question now, Dato', is what's next?
Well, one need to understand that anyone who is heading Johor must have a realistic vision of what Johor can and should be. So we here in Johor have dedicated an entire ikhtiar or initiative out of the 5 initiatives just to propel the state economy. So when you were mentioning about what next for Johor, is when we are going to seek for a better mandate and to ensure that the existing plans are executed better, and the future plans that that will be executed fast enough in terms of whether it is an economic planning or we are talking about being as early as possible in implementing what has been planned during my earlier opportunities in the government. Having said that, we will make sure that Johor will be more competitive state, and by facilitating businesses and investors, and that we will make sure that Johor will always consider business as our partner, and looking at the potential that Johor have, investment that usually attract investors to be here is due to the uniqueness of Johor. So this is something that must continue in Johor. So even when the border is closed, that is something that the government should be focusing. That is something that the government should be giving a lot of attention, because all of a sudden Johor Bahru town becomes so quiet, because when the border is closed, the usual 250 to 300,000 of Johorian crossing over to Singapore on a daily basis was abruptly stopped, and due to that, businesses is unable to continue its normal routine, and because of that, plan has to be put in place. That is the main reason why Johor set up its own office in Singapore, the Johor Economic, Tourism and Cultural Office. So having our own office in Singapore, we believe that that will be able to facilitate businesses, investors to understand Johor under its current situation after having to face the COVID-19 pandemic, having to face with challenges like, for instance, the sudden huge number of unsold property here in Johor, having to face with situation like businesses or investors thinking about moving away from Johor. So this is something that we have to work out immediately. We just cannot delay any longer. We have to engage. We have to create a lot more collaboration with all these investors, with all these businesses, and to make sure that they will remain here in Johor.
Indeed.
So that will be our utmost importance in having a stable government, so that we do not waste any more time in bringing back Johor into its expected position as far as the economy is concerned.
Indeed, Dato'. And with Johor's strategic location and also its vibrancy, we know that Johor has great potential in attracting FDIs. Perhaps that is something we will talk about after this. It's time, however, for us to take a short break. We'll be back after this on Money Matters with the Johor Menteri Besar. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for staying with us on Money Matters. You're still with me, Azaria Tagaya, and we're still joined by the Johor Menteri Besar, Dato' Hasni Mohamad. Now, Dato' Hasni, before the break, we talked about Johor's vast potential. And over time, we've had a lot of guests come on Money Matters, economists and analysts, and a lot of them have said very clearly that the key areas in attracting FDIs is the stability of the nation's political landscape. So how can this actually be achieved, do you think, Dato'?
I can imagine that concern of investors, whether we are talking about investment coming within or coming from foreign investment, the stability of the state is definitely the utmost important. I would imagine that the amount of potential that the state has and the area that such investment that can come into Johor, definitely if the state is having a very strong and stable government, based on our previous experience, where Johor from 2013 until 2018 received the highest foreign investment into Johor. We are either first in the country or we are second. If not, we are back as a first in the country again. I need to make sure that that remains. Now, in order to do that, it has to start with a strong and a stable government. And with all this good infrastructure that we have, with the regional authority development, not just one, not just two, but three regional authority development that we have here in Johor.
Yes.
We have our Iskandar Regional Development Authority. We have the ECER. Now that we have the IMTGT, for instance. These are all the basis as to why Johor need to maintain a government with a strong stability, a government that is continuously engaging with our potential investors. I've spoken to Malaysian, American Chamber of Commerce. I've spoken to Japan Trade Council. I've spoken to Taiwanese business community. They are all very keen and very interested about investing or expanding what they have invested here in Johor. But at the bottom line is that they are so concerned about the stability of the state.
Yes.
Over the last 3 years, 4 years, we have got 3 Menteri Besar. That is not happening in the past. When that question is put across to me, what more can I say other than convincing our investors that we should change this. We should find a way to further stabilize Johor. So that is the reason why I feel that if we were to reset our economy, there are certain criteria, there are certain steps that we have to take. You know, on my first day in office, after having such a difficult time after the previous election, is to set up our Ibrahim Johor Economic Council, comprising of people with economic background, captain of the industries, to sit with me. We sat to 2-3 times. And eventually, we managed to figure out how best to bring back Johor economy back on its foot. We look at about food security as one of the main area to attract foreign or domestic investment. We talk about digital technology or digital economy. We talk about the importance of manufacturing sector that is so crucial for the state of Johor. Do you know that in Johor, Azalia, that there are companies that is making component to complete a printer, for instance. When these companies are closed because of the SOP that was introduced, I was given an indication that if these manufacturing companies are not allowed to operate, the whole world will stop printing. So that's how important Johor is as far as foreign, be it foreign investment or be it domestic investment. To cut matters short, I just have to make sure that we have a stable government so that we can continue to bring back Johor onto its right position.
Indeed, Dato'.
Yes.
Now, I know you have more to say on that, and we have much more to discuss. However, it's time for another short break. Don't go anywhere. Money Matters will be back after this.
The Malaysian equities market were in for a roller coaster ride this week. Issues surrounding the war in Ukraine continues to hog the limelight. At the current juncture, the Russians appear to be adamant to invade Ukraine despite massive economic sanctions being imposed on their major industries and businesses. Understandably, Brent crude prices have skyrocketed to more than $110 per barrel, as the conflict areas represent an important equation in the oil and gas sector. This is given the fact that Russia is among the top oil and gas producers globally. Therefore, the military aggression does give the impression that the global economy is in tight supplies going forward. Other than that, the Bank Negara Malaysia's Monetary Policy Committee meeting has decided to keep the overnight policy rate unchanged at 1.75% during its meeting on Thursday. The central bank has recognized the downside risk emanating from the military conflict in the Eastern Europe. This suggests that the Bank Negara is wary on the prevailing condition, and such narratives could put a lid on the banking stock prices. Following this, the FBM KLCI has been volatile this week. On Friday, the FBM KLCI fell by 14.6 points to close at 1,603.94 points. Despite that, there seems to be strong interest in the plantation sector. The CPO prices are currently hovering at around 7,500 ringgit per metric ton on spot basis. Given that such level can be deemed at all-time high, we could say investors' interest will revolve around this sector in the immediate term. Next week, sentiments will continue to be centered on war in Ukraine. It will be very fluid, and therefore we can expect institutional investors to hold more cash-like instruments in order to preserve their capital. Thus far, we have seen a good traction from the foreign funds inflows in the equities markets, with total net inflows of 137.9 million ringgit between 28 February and 3rd March. As such, the FBM KLCI could be holding around the psychological level of 1,600 points next week.
Back with us on Money Matters, and we're still with Johor Menteri Besar, Dato' Hasni Mohamad. Now, Dato' Hasni, you mentioned the dire need for political stability. Can you enlist how this is going to be done within the next 5 years? And also, what are the deliverables within the next few months if BN is voted in?
I have strong belief that we should immediately work on a few reform on the political policies that is in place at the state level. We have constituency that has got huge numbers of voters. We have areas that is mixed constituency that needs special attention. So in order to have a very stable state, perhaps should we receive two-thirds majority, the first thing that I need to do is to make sure that we will propose that, number one, the anti-hopping law should be put in place. We feel that a redelineation of the constituency should take place. And having said that, I believe that one of the things that we should also pay attention is the what I say as the low-hanging fruits. You know, the Barisan National Government should be ready, because like I said earlier, when I took office, the last 20 months or so is planning what is best for the state. I have talked to a lot of parties. I've spoken to a lot of people in Johor. I've met a lot of people who are matters to the state of Johor. And immediately after the 12th of March, we are not going to waste any more time planning. We are not going to waste any more time in discussing what best to be done for the state, what we should be doing, but rather to immediately implement whatever has been planned. I have shared this vision with all the other candidates within Barisan Nasional, that they have to be prepared, they have to be ready to take on the plan that has been planned, that has been put forward. And I believe that having to do that, then we are just doing justice to the people of Johor, because we have delayed in so many things, and we are not ready to delay any further. So the state is ready with its plan and with the initiative that I have put forward. So I hope that the next 5 years will be 5 years of full of plan that will only bring Johor back to its glory.
Indeed, very
Yes.
well, Dato'. Now, what should the people of Johor bear in mind as they head to the ballot box on March 12th, especially the 50% younger voters, those aged 18 to 39?
Well, you know, it has been very unfortunate for Johor after the PRU 14. Things that has been the strength of Johor. You know, I can cite you one example. That is so something that has to change immediately. You know, the government bench, 28 of us, all Malays, and the opposition side are basically Chinese. This is not Johor. This cannot happen to Johor. This is not how Johor should look like. The government of Johor has always been a government that is a reflection of what is the composition within the society within Johor. We only have 55-56% of Malays, 38% Chinese, 7 to 10% Indian. That should be the reflection, the kind of government that should be leading Johor. Now, that is the main reason I feel that this election should happen as early as possible, and I should return back and seek a fresh mandate from the people so that we can have a strong government that is really a reflection of what the state is all about. And I was really hoping that the outcome of this election will definitely bring Johor moving forward and be able to recover much earlier than other states.
Indeed, Dato'. Well, Dato' Hasni, thank you once again for having us here in Johor Bahru, giving us the opportunity to speak with you on Money Matters on this week's episode.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Anjali.
Thank you. And thank you to all our viewers as well. That's it for this week's episode of Money Matters. As usual, tune in again next week for more money insights that matter. I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time.